Hi, this is Jordan Strubhart, and this is my step-by-step guide for my dual stack lab. So the first thing we're going to do is open up the lab and look at the contents of what's actually in it. So first we have dual stack addressing, both in a Word doc and a PDF. This is basically so that you don't have to keep scrolling up and down, looking at instructions, and referring back to the addressing guide when you can just click back and forth between the addressing. So we also have the dual stack instructions in a PDF and a Word, which you'll see here, and this is what I'll be using for this step-by-step guide. And lastly, we have the lab itself, both an exercise version and an answer version. So I'm going to be going through the exercise version, but the answer version is there if you run into anything or if you want to check something. There'll be a version there to basically verify your work or just see the end result if you're interested. So we're going to start this lab. As you can see, we have the picture of what the network should look like, and here it is. We have the addressing table, which, like I said, you can have it in its own document if you need it, but we're just going to be using this for the step-by-step guide. So firstly, we're going to click on PC1. We're going to go to the desktop tab. I'll move this over so you can still read it. You're going to select IP configuration, and you're going to verify that static is selected. And then we're going to go back up to PC1 and look at what our addressing is. So as you'll see, PC1 is an IPv4 address, so we're going to put 10.10.0.1. For the subnet mask, it's going to fill it out, but we're going to change it to 255.255.255.252. And then finally, we're going to change our gateway, which you'll see later is the address for the port it's connected on to the router 1, and that's going to be 10.10.0.2. So once you have these three, you can exit. And then we're going to scroll back down, and you'll notice that we skipped to PC3. Well, we're doing the IPv4 end devices first, so we have to do the other IPv4 device. So same as last time, we're going to go to desktop, IP configuration, and then we're going to need to scroll back up and look at PC3. So PC3 is 10.10.0.5. and we're going to go to the subnet mask. Again, it's going to fill it in, and we're going to change it to 255.255.255.252. Then for the gateway, same as last time. This address will be configured later, but we know it already, so we're going to do 10.10.0.6. And once you have this, verify that it's correct, and you can exit. And then next we're going to do the IPv6 PCs, and that'll be PC2 and PC4. So you're going to notice that it's pretty much the same. We're going to go to PC2, we're going to go to desktop, we're going to go to IP configuration, and remember that now we're not doing IPv4, we're doing IPv6. So we need to go to IPv6 configuration down here, make sure it's static, and we're going to scroll back up, and we're doing PC2, so it is 2001 DB8 1 and 1. And you'll notice that we have a /64, and you can see the slash here in the IP config, and so then you just put 64 after the slash mark. And then we go to our gateway, and it is same thing as last time. It's going to be configured on the router interface, but we know it now, so we're going to fill it in 2001 DB8 1 and ::2. Okay, and then after we've configured that, verify that it's correct. And it looks good, so we're going to go exit out of this. And now we're going to go do the same thing for PC4, our other IPv6 device. So we go over here, same thing, click on PC4, click on the desktop tab, go to IP configuration, go on down here to the IPv6, verify that it's static, and we're going to go over here to the PC4 address. So 2001 db8 2:1. Same thing as before, you have that slash there separating that, so then we're going to go /64, and then the gateway, we're going to do 2001 db8 2:2. And so we're going to look at this, verify that's correct, looks good, so we're going to exit out of here. And with that, all 4 PCs have been configured with addresses. So we see this, we can scroll through this. Now we're going to be going to configuring the routers. So let's click on, as you see, click on router 1. Go to the CLI tab, we're already in the CLI tab. Move this over. And you hit enter as it says, and then we're going to follow the commands. So the first one is enable, configure terminal, which you can also just shorten to config T. Now we're going to want to go to interface 0, which is the one going down to PC1. So we're going to hit interface, or INT for short, fast Ethernet 0/0. And so now you'll see that we're in configure interface. So that tells us that we're in interface 00. So next we're going to assign an IP address to that. And then we'll see it's IP address 10.10.0.2. And you'll remember that that's the address that we assigned as the gateway for PC1. So we know we're on the right track. And 255.255.255.252. Once that looks good, I hit enter. And so now we need to make sure we enter the no shutdown command, which is going to bring the port to an up state. And we've changed state to up. And now we can exit. And you'll notice that when we go here, the green arrows, or the red arrows have turned to green arrows. That's what happens when you hit the no shutdown, or you use the no shutdown command. So now we know that that link is up. So we're going to go back into router 1, and this time, same thing, we're already enabled config T, but we're going to change the interface to FA01. So again, interface FA0/1. And because we're doing IPv6, it's a little different. So first, before you enter the address, like before, you have to do IPv6 enable. And then next now we're gonna put the IPv6 address in. So IPv6 address 2001 db8 1:2, and like we did earlier, on the PCs you have to also add that /64. So we put the address on the interface, and same thing as last time, we need to do no shutdown. And as you can see, change the state to up, and we can exit out of that interface. So then we're going to go back out, and we're going to be able to see that, yep, both of these links are up. But we have another interface here, our interface 1/0 between the two routers. So we're going to go to interface FA1/0, and as you can see, we're adding both an IPv4 and an IPv6 address. So basically we're just combining the two previous commands. So we're going to do first IP address 10.10.0.9 255.255.255.252. So now that interface has an IPv4 address, but because this is dual stack, we need that interface to also have an IPv6 address. So just like before, we're going to do IPv6 enable, to allow the IPv6 address, and then we're going to put our IPv6 address in. So IPv6 address 2001.db8 3:1, and then our /64. And just like before, no shutdown to bring the interface up. And then we can exit out of there. But you'll notice that the green arrows don't come up, but that's because both these links need to be up. So these green arrows will not come up until we've configured both interfaces, which we'll get to in just a second. So in this part of the lab, we're going to repeat these steps for router 2 by using the information found in the table. So what I've done is basically I'm showing you what to do, and then you use the same commands, but just change it by using the table. So we'll go to router 2, we'll press enter, and most of these commands are going to be the same. The difference is where we're going to change the addressing. So we're going to do enable config T for configure terminal, IP address, but this time it's not 10.10.0.2, it's something else. So we need to go up to the addressing, and we're going to look at router 2 in our F00, that's the interface. Well, first we need to go to interface FA0/0. Now we can do the address. So it's 10.10.0.6, and then subnet mask 255.255.255.252. And I forgot to add the IP address. So IP address 10.10.0.6 255.255.255.252. And if you make mistakes like that, that's fine, but you do need to make sure that you catch them, because otherwise your network might not be able to run. So, and then again, we're going to go back down here, and after again, we remember that after you put the IP address in, you need to do the no shutdown command to bring the link up. And as you can see, it's changed it to up. Hit enter, and we can exit out of that interface. So we'll go back here, and as you can see on interface 0/0, the arrows have changed from red to green. So that's great. So we'll go back to router 2, and we'll just follow this guide here. We're going to do interface FA0/1, and this is going to be our IPv6 address, and we still have to do IPv6 enable, and then we're going to need to go up to addressing again, and we're going to look right here for this address. So it's IPv6 address 2001 db8, and then it's 2:2, and then don't forget to add your /64. And once we've done that, we're going to do a no shutdown, and once again change state to up, and we can exit out of this interface, and we'll take a look back at the router. And as you can see, once again red arrows have turned to green. So we've got all that, and we're going to go back down to our last interface, which is the 1-0. That's the one in between the routers. So we're going to click on the router. We're already in config, so we do interface FA1/0, and then like last time we're putting two addresses on there, so we're going to do IP address, and once again it's not going to be the same, so we need to scroll back up and look at router 2 and at the 1/0 interface. So it's IP address 10.10.0.10 and subnet mask of 255.255.255.252. So we're going to hit that, and again we need to put both addresses on there, so we're going to do IPv6 enable and IPv6 address 2001 db8 3::2, and then remember our /64. And we're going to do, like last time, we're going to do a no shutdown. And so this should, if we look back at it now brings the links between the routers that we previously were still red after configuring router 1, now they're green. So now we're all good. But it's a good idea to verify that you have everything right before we go on to routing. So we're going to look at PC1. We've got 10.10.1.0, 255.255.255.252, and that's where you get your /30 from. Our gateway is 10.10.0.2, so we're good. PC2, we're going to verify we have IPv6 2001 db8 1164. So, and then we're going to look at PC3. Can't quite see it there, but it's 10.10.0.5/30 with a gateway of 10.10.0.6. So PC3, yep, we're good there. Finally, we're going to look at PC4, and it's every single address has the 2001 db8, but then it's 2::1. So we're going to look at that, and yep, we can verify that that's correct. And then we can look at our routers. Router 1, we have 10.10.0.2 for the 00 interface, so we're good there. For our 01 interface, we have 1::2, so we're good there. And then, like we did, we have two addresses for the 1/0 interface, and that's 10.10.0.9, and we can verify that that's correct. And we have 3:1. So we're going to verify that that is correct. And then lastly, we're going to do the second router. So 10.10.0.6, we can see that that's correct. We have the 2::2 for the IPv6 address. We're going to verify that, yep, that's correct. 10.10.0.10, that's correct. And then 3:2. So we're good there. So that means that we can move on to the routing section. So we're going to go down, and we're going to see that configure IPv6 and IPv4 and IPv6 routing on both routers. So we're going to go up to the start here. Just like last time, we're already in config T, so we're good. Router OS PF 10. Router ID 1.1.1.1, and basically you'll see later that we need to give these routers unique identifications. So this is router 1, so we're just doing all ones. So then we're going to go to network 10.10.0.0 and then 0.0.0.3, and we're putting this in area 0. And this network here is the network between on the down facing interface of the router. So then we're going to hit enter, and we can just hit up arrow key because we're not going to make many changes here. So as you can see, it's almost all the same, except we're changing this network to instead of ending with a 0, we're going to end it with a 4. Hit enter, and then the same thing here. We're going to change our 4 from our 8, our 2 or 8, and we're going to do passive interface FA 0/0. Oh, and remember to add a hyphen in there. There we go. And we can now exit out of this. So now we need to enable OSPF for IPv6. So we're already in config terminal, so we do IPv6 unicast routing. We need to make sure we use the same number for the routing, so we do OSPF10. Router ID, as we did before, it's 1.1.1.1. We're going to put auto cost bandwidth 1000. Okay. And then we're going to do passive interface FA0/1, and that's the down-facing interface to the IPv6. So we can exit out of there. And then our last step is we're going to do interface FA0/1 IPv6 OSPF10 area 0. We'll exit out of that. And we're going to do the same for the interface between the routers. So FA1/0 IPv6 OSPF10 area 0. And once we do that, we are good for router 1. So we need to do the same thing for router 2, and because we're just basically advertising the networks with OSPF, we don't really have to change the commands too much. But you'll see down here that your router ID needs to change to all 2s, but still use OSPF10. So we're going to go back up here. We've already done config enable, so we're going to do router OSPF, because we have to use the same number, OSPF10, and like it shows at the bottom, we need to now change our router ID to 2.2.2.2. We have that, and now we just need to advertise the networks. So we're at network 10.10.0.0, 0.0.0.3, area 0. And do the same thing, and like we did before, you can just hit the up key, make it a lot easier on yourself, and just change that 0 to the 4. Same thing, hit the up key, change our 4 to 8, enter, passive interface. This time we're going to remember our hyphen, and it's passive interface FA0/0. So when this message comes up, you can just hit enter to kind of continue your doing your commands. So we're going to hit exit. We're going to scroll down to the IPv6 section. We've already done router, enable, config terminal, so we're going to do IPv6 unicast routing, IPv6 router OSPF, again we're using 10, router ID, and make sure that we're changing it to 2.2.2.2 because we're on router 2, and so we need to auto cost reference bandwidth 1000, and we saw this message last time. Please ensure reference bandwidth is consistent across all routers. That's why we make sure to put that command on both routers. So we're good there. And then passive interface FA0/1. And with that, we're going to exit. And then we're going to go to interface FA0/1. We're going to IPv6 OSPF 10 again, and we're in area 0. We're going to exit out of that. We're going to go into our interface FA1/0, our interface between the routers, and then we're going to do the same thing. IPv6, our OSPF is 10, and we're in area 0. And with that, we hit exit, and as you can see, it's doing the routing. So it should be, at this point, all that's left is to verify connectivity. So we need to ensure that PC 2, or PC1, can connect to PC3. So remember, our address for PC3 is 10.10.0.5. So we're going to go to PC1. I'll move this over so you can see this. Under the desktop tab, we're already under the desktop tab. We're going to go to command prompt, and we're going to type this command: ping 10.10.0.5. And that's just sending, you're looking for a response from 5, which is a PC3. And this happens a lot when you don't panic. Whenever you do a ping, sometimes it takes a little bit and your first request times out. Just give it a second, and you can even just hit the up arrow, do the command again, and now all the replies should come back. So we got 4 sent, received 4. So we're good there. Then we're going to go over and verify that PC2 can connect with PC4. So same thing, we're going to click on PC2, go to command prompt, and we need to make sure we know the address of PC4. So that is, like last time, that's our IPv6 addresses. So we're going to go to PC2, and this, we can make it a little easier by going up here, so we don't have to look at the same thing, go back and forth. So we're going to ping 2001 db8 2 1. And as you can see, we get a response back. And this time, all the replies came back. But again, if you get a request timed out and maybe only 2 replies come back, just hit the up arrow, do the command again, and ensure that all your packets are sent and received. So like we see, packets sent 4, received 4. So we are good. And as you can see, this is the end of the lab. So we'll go to the bottom, and the verify connectivity, and we'll see that if both pings are successful, you have completed this lab. So with this, you can create a network that has both IPv6 and IPv4 addresses running between them, and allows for both addressing methods to be used on the same network, so that they can both can be used to communicate. So that's my lab. I'm Jordan Strubhart. Thank you very much.